Adrian Newey's new Aston Martin car might actually be too extreme to drive, that the vibrations from their Honda engine are risking permanent nerve damage for their drivers within 25 laps of running. In this video, we're going to break down exactly what's going on. We'll look at what the vibration problem actually is, why it's happening in the Aston Martin, how Adrian Newey's radical design philosophy may be amplifying the issue, and why this could become one of the biggest engineering challenges of the new 2026 Formula One era. Adrian Newey said that vibration into the chassis is causing a few reliability problems.
So that vibration into the chassis is causing a few reliability problems, mirrors falling off, tail light falling off, all that sort of thing, which we are having to address. But the much more significant problem with that is that vibration is transmitted ultimately into the driver's fingers.
And the car ran the lowest mileage of any team in preseason testing. So what exactly is going on? Because this might not just be a reliability problem. This could be a fundamental engineering conflict between the engine, the chassis, and Adrian Newey's radical design philosophy. Adrian Newey revealed just how serious the situation is. The reliability issues are actually the smaller concern. The bigger problem is what those vibrations are doing to the drivers. Newey explained that the vibrations travel through the chassis and ultimately reach the driver's hands through the steering column. And according to the drivers themselves, the effects are severe. Fernando Alonso believes he cannot drive more than 25 consecutive laps before risking nerve damage in his hands. Lance Stroll's limit is even lower. Next, the Australian Grand Prix is 58 laps, so Aston Martin may literally have to limit how long their drivers stay in the car during the race. Alonso described what the vibration feels like. After several laps, his hands and feet begin to feel numb. And while drivers can normally tolerate enormous physical strain, Alonso made it clear this is something different. If we were fighting for the win, we can do 3 hours in the car. But this is unusual. It shouldn't be there. So what's causing this? To understand that, we need to look at how a Formula One car is actually built. One of the big interesting things is that Honda reportedly never experienced this problem when working with Red Bull. That suggests the issue is not purely the power unit itself. It's the interaction between the engine and the chassis design. Even small differences can change vibration behavior. Engine mounting stiffness, carbon fiber layup in the chassis, battery mounting structure, suspension pickup locations. Any of these factors can shift the natural frequency of the car. And when those frequencies change, resonance may appear or disappear. So the Aston Martin problem may be less about the engine and more about how the entire system interacts. Let's understand why. In a normal road car, the engine is mounted using soft rubber mounts that absorb vibration. Formula One cars do the exact opposite. The engine is a structural component of the chassis. The architecture looks like this: monocoque, engine, gearbox, rear suspension. This means the engine is literally part of the car's structure. So when the engine vibrates, that vibration travels through the entire car, from the engine block, through the gearbox casing, into the carbon fiber chassis, and eventually into the steering column. And when vibration reaches the steering wheel, it goes straight into the driver's hands. Over long periods, that kind of vibration exposure can cause hand-arm vibration syndrome, something normally seen in people who operate heavy industrial machinery. That's why Aston Martin engineers are treating this issue very seriously. But the drivers are not the only victims of the vibration. The car itself is also suffering. During preseason testing, the vibrations were so intense that they began damaging components inside the hybrid system, specifically the battery pack, also known as the energy store. This battery powers the electric motor that contributes nearly half of the engine's total power under the new 2026 regulations. The violent vibrations were shaking the battery structure, causing failures in testing. Aston Martin has already introduced countermeasures for the Australian Grand Prix to prevent those vibrations from reaching the battery. But those fixes only protect the hybrid system. They don't eliminate the vibration itself. The vibration is still traveling through the chassis, which means the drivers are still feeling it. And that's where the engineering mystery begins. The new 2026 Formula One power units are dramatically different from the previous generation. These engines now produce power from a roughly 50-50 split between the internal combustion engine and the electrical system. That means the hybrid side of the power unit is now incredibly important. But according to insiders, Honda may already be facing a performance deficit. Reports suggest the electrical system could be around 50 kilowatts or 67 horsepower down on power. Considering the electric motor is capped at 350 kilowatts, that's a significant loss. Honda's Formula One chief Koji Watanabe refused to confirm the exact figure, but he did admit that reliability problems prevented Honda from running the engine at maximum revs during testing. Newey explained how this creates a vicious cycle. If the internal combustion engine produces less power, the team has to rely more heavily on the electric motor. But doing that drains the battery faster, which means by the time the car reaches the long straights, where electric boost is most valuable, the battery is already empty. Newey described this as a self-fulfilling downward spiral, but even this still doesn't fully explain the extreme vibrations. Many engineers suspect the real culprit may be resonance. Resonance occurs when the vibration frequency of one system matches the natural frequency of another structure. When that happens, vibration energy multiplies dramatically. Think about pushing someone on a swing. If you push randomly, nothing happens. But if you push at exactly the right rhythm, the swing goes higher and higher. In mechanical systems, the same thing happens. If the engine vibration frequency matches the natural frequency of the chassis or suspension structure, the vibration amplitude can increase dramatically. And this is where Adrian Newey's design philosophy may be playing an important role. Adrian Newey is famous for designing cars that are extremely stiff and tightly packaged. This stiffness is great for aerodynamics, but it can make vibration problems worse. The Aston Martin features an unusual rear suspension layout, where the upper wishbones are mounted very high near the rear wing pylon. This concept improves airflow toward the diffuser and increases rear downforce efficiency. But mechanically, it creates a very rigid structural connection between the suspension, gearbox, and engine. When the structure becomes too stiff, it has fewer ways to absorb vibration energy. Instead of dissipating, the vibration travels straight through the chassis. If the engine vibration frequency happens to match the natural frequency of this rigid structure, resonance can occur. And that could explain why the vibration levels in the Aston Martin are so extreme. Interestingly, Honda never experienced this issue when working with Red Bull, which strongly suggests the problem may not be purely the engine. It could be the interaction between the engine and Aston Martin's chassis architecture. The difficulty with vibration problems is that there is rarely a simple fix, so solving the problem may require several design iterations. Aston Martin is also starting the season slightly behind on development. Adrian Newey only joined the team last March. When he arrived, he completely changed the design philosophy of the car. At the same time, Aston Martin's new wind tunnel was not operational until mid-April. That effectively left the team several months behind in aerodynamic development. Newey estimates that in chassis performance alone, the car may currently be 3/4 of a second to 1 second slower than the leaders. That would place Aston Martin roughly around the 5th fastest team on the grid. But Newey believes the car has huge development potential. The irony is that the same aggressive design philosophy that makes Adrian Newey's cars so fast might also be pushing the limits of what the current Formula One regulations can handle. And the big question now is simple. Can Aston Martin solve the problem before the rest of the grid disappears down the road? Or has Adrian Newey built a car that is just a little too extreme for Formula One?